You've been using R functions throughout this course. Anytime you write some word and then parentheses and some inputs, you're using a function, you're using an R command. But you can also create your own functions in R. So suppose you make a function. Here's how you do it. You give it a name, so maybe you'll call it my first function. You set that equal to the word function, and then in parentheses, give a name to your argument. So maybe the input is going to be called x. Okay? Then inside the curly brackets, you write what you're going to do with that input. Maybe I'm going to square x and call that result y, and then I'm going to return y. So that means my function will have an input, which I'll call x, and it'll spit out y, which will be equal to x squared. So if I run this, then I can do things like this. My first function, 3, and I get out 9. Equivalently, I could have typed this, and it's the same thing. I'm allowed to leave off that x equals if I want. So here's a more complicated function, but it's not that much more complicated, and I suggest that you look at it and understand it. I'm going to call this my cluster function. It has 2 arguments, a data set and a number of clusters. What's it going to do? It's going to run the k-means function on the data set for the number of clusters you specify, and the output will be called k-output. It's going to create a plot like the one we had above, where it takes the first 2 variables as the x and y axes, uses colors to indicate the clusters, and then it contains a legend. And then the output of this function is going to be the output just from the k-means function. So I'm going to make sure R knows about this function by running it. Now, what is the use of this? Well, now, first of all, I could use this function to reproduce the output I had above. So here's the plot I was looking at before. But now if I want to make a similar plot for some other data set, it's only 1 line. So here we go with part of the iris data set. And there we go. I made 5 clusters from the iris data set, and I plotted sepal width against sepal length, and I didn't have to retype the entire thing.